We are talking about domestic violence and the real reason why women stay. We're talking about two very, very learned folks in our area on this subject. Deidre Lashley, who's the executive director of Bethany House, and Sue Lane Baldwin, who's the director of the Battered Women's Shelter at the YWCA. I want to start off by talking about separation violence. We didn't hear that term very frequently until the last few years, but now as we hear it and we're able to talk about it, we're also able to understand the impact separation violence has on a woman's unwillingness to leave sometime. Can you tell our viewers what separation violence is?
Sure, absolutely. Well, it's when she does decide to take steps to leave, and as we already discussed, that is the most dangerous time for her. Not just when she files for divorce or calls the police, those risks rise, but also when she emotionally starts to disconnect from the relationship. There's some research that shows that the batterer will actually escalate the violence and the threats when he feels like she's starting to pull away in any way. And so that is so important for victims to get with an advocate, to get some help, to safety plan, because there are steps that can be taken to help to decrease those risks. Things like packing a bag, getting some important documents together, knowing who to call when, and that they'll be there for you when you need them.
Where can folks get that list of things that you should do to prepare to leave? I saw that list. I just can't remember where I saw it, and I thought it was amazing. You know, sometimes you can't leave today, but you know you're going to leave. Right. It's just when you get the opportunity. Right. And that list actually told you how to prepare. It was pack a bag, start to put away money if you can, whatever few pennies you can put together. Even details like personal things that are important to you, cherished items.
Well, the YWCA can help a woman with safety planning. You know, they can contact us on our...
And that's what it's called, safety planning?
Yes, safety planning. The Ohio Domestic Violence Network is also a website that they can go to for safety planning. Bethany House.
And we're gonna give you that information before we leave today. Yeah, the network information.
I think what's also important is that it's not just in that critical situation of walking out the door with the kids in the bag, but it's that whole next year. Right. Of trying to disentangle from that relationship. If there's divorce proceedings or custody issues being hashed out, that is a really dangerous time for survivors. And that's when most women are killed or hurt most often, is when they've made that choice and they've taken those steps. And so I think when we as a community say, well, why doesn't she just leave? Why doesn't she just get out? Which is what I feel like the Ray Rice situation is turning
into. That's exactly where it's going.
It's really, you know, she has a lot of good reasons to not make that decision so quickly. She needs time, she needs to plan, she needs to get some things into place. And I think a more appropriate question is, why does he continue to behave that way and continue to be not held accountable?
That's right, absolutely right. And we want you to know that we are in no way in this conversation saying that women should stay. We are not saying that. What we're trying to do is to give you some information about why this is not an easy process to disengage.
And that there is help out there.
And that there is help out there. And, you know, we rarely talk on this show about organizations that you should financially support, but I'm telling you, domestic violence is not just an issue for poor women. It is not just an issue for women of color. It is an issue that you find everywhere, in every economic strata, in every neighborhood. Most often, these women would have nowhere to go if it wasn't for organizations like Bethany House and the Battered Women's Shelter. So you need to know that. You need to keep that in mind. It could be your sister. It could be your mother. You need to keep that in mind. So when we are talking about, are we talking about a woman then who will not ever sort of get her self-esteem back and recover from this? Is this a situation that women are stuck in?
No, absolutely not. Again, when you are removing yourself from that situation and you come to an agency or get back involved with people who are supportive, and then you remove yourself from a negative influence such as an abuser or other people who have been negative as well, and you get involved with therapy, because I'm a real firm believer when you've been exposed to somebody who has repeatedly abused you, and your children have witnessed the violence. I'm a real strong believer that I think, you know, you need to be able to process that.
Absolutely.
You need to understand
Safely.
it's truly not your
Absolutely.
fault. And you need to get involved in counseling. You need to have a safe plan to ensure that, you know, you're safe in the future, that he doesn't come around again, because sometimes that does happen. So, you know, I think that, you know, can the self-esteem come back? Yes, and we see that. You know, we also offer prevention groups at the YWCA. That's free of charge to those victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking. And again, they can come and be in a group with other survivors that have been in a similar situation.
Right, and there's no shame to that. There's
Oh
no
my gosh,
embarrassment
absolutely
to
not.
that. I mean, you know, people need to understand that. You need to understand that there are lots of people out there in the same situations you are in. If you are listening to this show this morning and are in an abusive situation, it's rampant and it's getting worse. So there's no shame in the situation you find yourself. Reach out to somebody like the staff that you have
Yes.
at your place, or the staff that you have at your place. Yeah.
I think your point about it could be your mother, it could be your sister is so true. That it's 1 in 4 women
That's right.
in their
1 in
lifetime.
4
And so
women in
we
their
all
lifetime.
know somebody. And so to break through that isolation that keeps the survivor so trapped, like we need to be doing more talking about this, like
Yeah.
we're doing today.
We
Just
absolutely do.
to say there's no shame, and I think that's the big thing that the abuser can do is put so much shame and blame on that victim, and that's part of keeping her in that position.
Yeah, and women, we are really good at heaping shame and blame on ourselves
Yeah.
too. Why couldn't we make this better? What's wrong with me? I can't keep my relationship going
I think
the way
as
it
women,
should.
we're taught that
We're
we're
taught
the
that.
ones that are responsible for keeping our relationships together.
Yeah, we absolutely are. And we're not, this isn't only about the slapping and the punching. There's verbal abuse that's equally as painful.
Oh, absolutely. And there's other forms. There's intimidation. There's using the children. You know, Deidre mentioned that earlier. You know, that threat of you'll never see your kids again. I'll turn you into children's services. You know, I'll take custody of the kids. You know,
That's right.
there's other forms of abusive behavior that fall outside of the physical abuse. And those are just as damaging to the victims as well as the children. You know,
Absolutely.
in the cycle of violence.
Absolutely. And the one that I hear so much of is, I'll say this and they'll never believe you. Who's
Yes.
going to believe you?
Yes.
I'll tell them you did this and you'll lose the kids. You'll lose the kids. So
I think that's also part of the growth into the abuse too, is that the abuser starts out so charming and
so gently, yes.
manipulative and charms everybody around her, and so she does feel like nobody would believe me if I
Right.
said what was really happening. And we do see that in the courts too, that they're able to manipulate the court system in ways also to get custody of the kids, and so some of those threats are followed through on, unfortunately.
So what's the first thing, if somebody's out there listening to us and they want to leave, or if they know someone who they would like to help leave an abusive relationship, what should they do first?
As far as if they are a friend of someone, if they're a friend, first and foremost, believe your friend. That's extremely important.
When
Help-
she says she's being abused.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Develop a plan. You know, I think, you know, when you're talking about, you know, making that decision to go, it's important. It's not as scary when you have something and a plan is developed. You know, Deidre was really doing a really good job earlier about talking about the things to get ready. To develop a plan, you know, having a bag packed, having the important documents. When we're talking about the important documents, we're talking about things like photo IDs, birth certificates, social security cards, any immunization papers, you know, things like that. But I will also, though, qualify this by saying, if you're in an abusive situation and you or your child's life is at risk, should you worry about those things at that moment in time? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
You contact the police, you dial 911, and you get help at that moment in time.
And very quickly, because we just have a few seconds left, can they come directly to the Battered Women's Shelter?
Yes, we're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Okay, and for access to Bethany House?
Bethany House is a long-term transitional shelter, and so we don't do crisis intakes. It's more of a referral process, but they're able to stay with us for a year to 2 years to really get back up on their feet.
And we're going to give you a hotline number that you can call to get more information. We're going to go away for just a second, but I promise we'll be right back.